1.4 Order of Operations. Learning to use the order of operations to simplify numerical expressions. A couple vocabulary terms, let's go ahead and hit on those first thing. A numerical expression is made up of numbers and operations. There's no equal sign. When simplifying a numerical expression, rules must be followed so that everyone gets the same answer. That is why mathematicians have agreed upon the order of operations. So let's go through the order of operations. First thing, perform operations within grouping symbols, parentheses, brackets, things like that. The second thing is to evaluate powers or exponents. Multiply and divide in order from left to right. That means if division comes first, you'll do it first, moving left to right. And then lastly, add or subtract, again, moving left to right, whichever one comes first, reading from left to right. We're going to refer to that as PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We'll talk about that in class. Let's go ahead and look at some examples. Simplify the expression and use the order of operations to justify your answer. I only have two operations in this example, division and subtraction, or addition. So let's go ahead and divide first because it comes first in the order of operations. 15 divided by 5 is 3. The last thing I'll then do is my addition. 3 plus 3 is 6. Easy enough. Moving on. Now I have a whole bunch of operations to perform here. So let's actually go through the order of operations. Do I have any parentheses? No. Do I have any exponents? No. Okay, I next come to multiply and divide. And I have two things here. I've got division and multiplication, so I'm just going to work left to right. I'm going to do my division first, coming left to right, and multiply second. So 14 divided by 2 is my first thing, which is 7. Then I'm going to go ahead and multiply 7 times 4 for 28. Now, subtraction and addition, just moving left to right. So 44 minus 28 first, 16 plus 6 last, we get a final answer of 22. I know we're cruising here. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Next example, let's look for grouping symbols. There are none. I do, however, have an exponent, though, 2 to the third power. So I'm going to solve that first. 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Then I've got multiplication to work with next. 8 times 5 is 40. And my last step will be to add 40 plus 3 to get a final answer of 43. Okay, here we have some grouping symbols. If I were just to use order of operations, I would actually perform 3 times 4 first anyhow. The grouping symbols are just an added benefit to know where to start. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 times 4 first, which is 12. I'm then going to do my division, 12 divided by 6, which is 2, and my subtraction will come last. 42 minus 2 is 40. Here's a great hint. When an expression has a set of grouping symbols within a second set of grouping symbols, begin with the innermost set. So let's look at an example of that. Usually when two sets of grouping symbols are given, one will be parentheses and the outermost will be the brackets. So let's start with those parentheses, and then we'll move to the brackets, and on the very outside of the brackets there happens to be a power. But I'm not going to apply that exponent until everything within those parentheses and grouping symbols is simplified. So within the first set of parentheses, I've got 26 minus 4 times 5. I'm going to do the multiplication first. 20 times 5, or 4 times 5 is 20. Second, within those parentheses, I've got subtraction. 26 minus 20, which is 6. Now that those parentheses are simplified, I can go ahead and deal with the things within the grouping symbols. 6 plus 6. After I have that simplified, I am now lastly going to apply that exponent of 2. 12 squared is 144. Okay, where might I use this somewhere? Sandy runs 4 miles per day. She ran 5 days during the first week of the month. She ran only 3 days each week for the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to simplify the expression. 5 plus 3 times 3. So the 5 days, and then I'm squaring my 3 for each additional day, multiplying over those next weeks. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply times the 4 miles at the end. So that's why that first part of it is in the parentheses, and I'm going to multiply by the 4 miles per day at the end. I do like that they gave us a nice table with all the information. However, since they gave us the expression, I'm going to go ahead and focus there. So 3 times 3, let's perform that first. So I'm going to get 9. Then, because I'm still within my parentheses, I'm going to add 5 plus 9, 14, and my last step will be to multiply 14 times 4 to get a total of 56 miles for the week. That's the end of this lesson. I'm going to try and stop now to see if it won't cut off at the end of the lesson.